You all get up in here. All this rain falling. Get up in here. Good morning. Good morning. Guess what? You are tuned in to the longest running cultural show in the Bahamas that talks everything culture, but especially highlighting Junkanoo. Welcome to Junkanoo242. You are in the E-Shack with us. We are happy to have you. Arlene will say it is a very hoodie day outside. Indeed.
Hoodie. Quite hoodie.
Quite hoodie. But we want to know when you're tuned in, where you're tuned in from. Inagua, Auckland's, Mayaguana. Somebody right there off of East Street and Wolf Road. What is in your bowl this morning? What are you eating? Let me know. I see Ronald getting his stuff earlier this morning, so I wonder if he got sausage and grits this morning.
You have a fixation with food, eh?
Man, we gotta know what the people eating.
Why?
Because we can't let the flag fall. We gotta let these people know certain things you're supposed to eat on Saturday.
So I guess cornflakes is out.
Man, come on, man. You know, cornflakes, no pancake or nothing like that. We gotta have some stew fish, some chicken sauce, something that's getting steam or sauce supposed to be in your bowl on a Saturday. Alright, and if you're drinking something, you need something out the bush, some fever grass, tea, or something like that, man. Right now, the rain is falling, so the mints are coming back heavily, so we could, you ain't need, right now, you could get some tea. If you have one spice tea, in spice tree in your yard, you get some of the leaves, some big sour leaf. You could get some fever grass. All these teas, you ain't got to worry about no Lipton. All right, but good morning, Arlene. How you doing this morning?
I am well. Good morning, Bahamas. It's great to be alive. It's great to be here.
Wonderful. Barefoot, how you doing in studios, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
You liking this rain, Barefoot?
I'm loving it. Absolutely.
We've been begging for it, man.
Got to get the rain, man. Got to help the rain.
Absolutely.
No rain, no food. No rain, no water.
There you go.
All right.
Have water today. Ronald, you remember that?
What's that?
Lon Smith and the jet streamers stay with me.
Oh, yeah.
Water. We gotta have water today.
Let us pray for the rain.
Oh.
What?
And then in the rain,
This was ahead of your time.
Yes,
Absolutely.
All right, folks, before we get...
Them young people in there.
No, I try to figure out what you guys talking
I
about.
don't know what we talking about. Just reached the other day.
But before we go any further, let us start our show like we normally do. Let us get started with our prayer, please.
Absolutely. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, for the gift of life, we give you thanks. For our nation, we pray for peace, prosperity, and principle, recovery, and restoration. And for ourselves, we pray for wisdom to use your gifts wisely, especially the gift of Junkanoo, so that we may honor you, serve your people, build better communities, a better Bahamas, and a better world. Amen.
Amen. Proud to be Bahamian.
I got a strange one this morning.
Let's go with that one then. Let's go with it.
When was that? What night was the memorial rush for Bill Wallace?
Tuesday.
Okay. So on Tuesday, there was a memorial rush for Bill Wallace that went the length of Coburn Street. And at the front were choreographed girls in red t-shirts and their jeans. I did not know at the time which group they were from. I can't read that far to see what was on their shirt. But anyhow, when I looked again, there was a young lady in their front line who was in a black and white dress. She had clearly been in the church to the memorial service, but she was also clearly one of the choreographed girls because she knew the routine. And it really struck me. They actually moved her to the center of the front line so that she could be the focus of attention. And at one point, they were calling out her name. And it struck me how profound that was, that in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, your grandfather passes away. And your friends come to dance with you. That was a profound moment for me. That gave me goosebumps because people around the world have their funeral rituals, but I don't know where in too many countries, if in any other country, a young lady is going to find her friends in the street dancing in support of her in her time of sorrow. It was truly profound, and I just want to really say thank you to the Roots choreographed girls, because I found out later that it was Roots. But out of everything that happened that night, that really, that really got me. That was a beautiful moment, and I thank them for doing it for her, and really for the wider community. Yeah.
And it goes to show, when you think about it, when you think about death, even at the funerals, a lot of people show up to support that family in that time.
Yes.
And one of the things is, if that support brings comfort through doing what they do celebrating that dance.
That's right.
And the connection is, she's a dancer and he's the past chair.
And they came to show their genuine love and care for her in the way that they knew best.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
On the heels of that's truly a proud to be Bahamian moment. On the heels of that, it is results time. The BJC results are out.
I see.
And I see all of the different posts are being shared on social media at this time.
Proud parents.
Proud parents. I want to
Beautiful.
say congratulations to everybody who even took the time to study and sit those exams. Truly, I'm happy for you. Regardless of what the results is, it's just a marker. And if you don't like the results, study some more and take it again.
Exactly.
And use it as just a marker to where you want to be. So truly, that's my proud to be Bahamian moment.
Beautiful.
Well, folks, we got an exciting show lined up for you this morning.
Special guests, you all here doing all this talking, and we got a guest waiting for us.
I just want you all to know.
No brought up seaman.
For the last couple of weeks, we've been discussing this proposed Junkanoo Authority bill. And we've brought in special guests to discuss a portion of this that is going to be rolling out to the public. But we want you on pins and needles until we get back. Tell them what I want you to do is tell a friend, text a friend.
Tell them, put it all over Facebook.
Just log in a little bit. Some of them may see that yet, so tell them log in. On the next side of the break, we're going to formally introduce our topic for this morning and our guests. We will be right back. You're tuning in to Junkanoo242. From the Junkanoo archives on the Junkanoo timeline, the year was 1952. On the Junkanoo parade, there were two organized groups. One of them, Maureen Duvalier, and Johnny Camp's group was named the Mexicans and was the first group to be in uniformed costume. It also included women dancers, another significant notch on the Junkanoo timeline.
Truly, that was a moment in history. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The whistle blow, we are lined up and we are ready for this segment of our show. This is the rollover. And as TF would have said, in recent weeks, we have been witnessing much public discourse about a proposed authority that the government tends to establish for Junkanoo. This morning, we are so honored to welcome Mr. Latrae Rahming from the Office of the Prime Minister to join us in our conversation. Good morning, sir, and welcome.
Good morning. I was listening to something you said that was fascinating.
Yes.
So the first process is the rollover.
Yes.
What's the second process?
The second process is the first lap.
Oh, the first lap.
When we come back from the next break, it'll be the first lap.
First lap.
And
Okay.
then when
So
we come back from the next break, it's the second lap.
So the rollover would be when they do their fanfare.
Yes.
The rollover is when we start. Now, in the old days, before the music makers introduced a brass line in the mid-1970s, the rollover, and I guess many people still consider this to be the rollover, is when one drum, one rhythm drum starts to beat.
Yes.
And then the other rhythm drums come in. Then the bass drums come in. Then the bells come in. And then whatever else out there blowing and beating. But the rollover is what they call the start.
But before your laughing question, let me ask you a question.
Yeah, man.
So do they decide in advance the song they'll play in Rossing's Girl?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Oh, yes. In this day and time, this is theater.
So I always find that the song at the start of the parade. So you try to find a song that everyone commonly knows.
I guess
but
so.
You better get it Russell Square.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, I think Ronald would agree with this, is that, see, your leader of your brass is feeling the crowd from your song selections, what people are responding to.
So he might change the order.
That is exactly it. Because sometimes,
Yes.
sometimes what you think is your best
The song.
don't click.
Yeah.
Not a man moves.
So you reading that crowd.
Once they come up, they know.
Yeah, they're reading that. So once they feed that crowd and he send that signal up,
Yeah.
that brass know what that means.
And Ronald could correct me if I'm wrong, but this layered entry where each instrument comes in on its own, I am believing that is an African tradition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You layer the music.
Yeah.
It starts
That's a
small,
good way
and
to
then
put
you just keep adding on
You
and
ca-
on and
yes.
on, and then you take it up to a great big crescendo, and you carry it to the max.
Beautiful.
I'm always conflicted on whether I want to be in the stands or
On the street.
on the streets.
Yeah.
It's a huge conflict.
Ain't no fun in the sun.
It is,
But you got the row in the stands, man. Like, right?
it is as different as night and day.
Yep.
This was several years ago, in the old days, before you put on tricks and all that, and a young man was pasting my costume, and when we went to look for him, we were still with the Saxons, when we went to look for him, New Year's evening, we could not find him, and I cried the whole morning on Bay Street, but I could tell you, being on the sidewalk is like night and day compared to being in the road. It's a different society, a different culture. I think I might stay home rather than to go on the sidewalk. I can't take it. I can't deal with it. No.
That's torturous.
That's a good one.
What I down here for? What I come to Bay Street for?
Why am I here? A day in the road having all the
I
fun.
hope turn off the TV every day. I don't want to see nothing. I don't want to hear nothing.
No. So it is a pleasure to have you this morning,
Thanks
and
for
we are
having me.
absolutely thrilled, even though we done gone off course.
Thanks,
You know, we we ain't got no brought up. See, we don't know how to stay on target, but we are still discussing the proposed authority that is being that is being recommended, that is being introduced. But first of all, like I always say, let's start at the beginning. Tell us what your role is in the office of the Prime Minister.
So I'm currently the Director of Communications for the Government of Bahamas. My role is public policy. My job is to public education, crisis response, strategic communications, and really coordinating the government's message, ministry, office of the Prime Minister. So anything the government of the Bahamas say, both domestically and internationally, it's my responsibility to make sure that the reputation of the Bahamas and the government at large is not is always maintained.
Gotcha. So you use the phrase crisis response, and so tongue in cheek,
Yes.
let me ask you this question:
Yes.
Is the reaction of the Junkanoo community?
We even got a hurricane. Now you got the crisis.
You know, when you said crisis response, I am thinking in terms of how you categorize things that you are faced with in your job. This was the reaction of the Junkanoo community in New Providence to the proposed what it being act, not act, yeah, anyhow, to the proposed act. Was that expected? Do you consider that to be a crisis? Where do you place that in your
On the Richter scale.
No, you know, we are taught in crisis communications how you manage a problem will lead to whether you mitigate a crisis or your response causes a crisis.
Yes.
And so I think we are in mitigating a far worse outcome. But Junkanoo for me, and it has always been a very not stressful but a very challenging thing to
to have anything to do with.
I've dealt with FTX, I've dealt with SpaceX, I've dealt with collapse of industries. But
Don't make me screaming here.
Junkanoo's always been a fast. My staff always ask me, they say, why are you so stressed out? I say, man, this Junkanoo thing.
Ronald, you see, he put us right up here with FTX.
Straight crisis.
You know?
We talking.
That's how big the crisis really is.
And SpaceX.
But I understand. You know, it's a very passionate thing.
Yeah.
Fred always tells me the story of how he tried to mediate some time ago with the Saxons and someone in Russia.
Who said this?
Fred Mitchell. How he tried to mediate a meeting
Chad,
of getting people
please.
to rush. A long time ago. He said he'll never mediate
Again. When he had Junkanoo, he gone in another direction.
It's always an interesting thing, but nonetheless, that's how it is.
Yes, absolutely. And so, in general terms, we're not going into the bill line for line, but in general terms, please put it into context for us.
So, simply put, the government of Bahamas some time ago was exploring ways on how it could enhance the orange economy. And we've sort of done it on a number of fronts. One, we worked on the establishment of the creative performance art schools being headed by Ian Poitier.
Morning, Ian.
And then for some time there has been conversations about a commission and an authority.
Yeah.
But there was a number of processes the government had to do before it got to the actual bill in itself. The first thing the government had to do was get Junkanoo recognized by UNESCO as a internationally observed culture. The second thing was that we
I
had
had the
to,
privilege of sitting on that committee.
and the second thing was to get Junkanoo in the curriculum of the government of the public schools. So that was done by Assistant Director of Education Pearl Baker. And the third thing was the enhancing the Bahamas IP intellectual property, where we could protect the work of the artisans. And the final piece of it was trying to get Junkanoo enshrined in law in the Bahamas. Right, there is, as wild as it is our national culture, there is nothing that recognizes it in our parliament as who we are as a people. So, for example, we change our national sport to sailing.
To sailing.
And if you look in the laws of the Bahamas, you will recognize this is the national sport of the Bahamas.
Right.
So we wanted to codify the government of the Bahamas wanted to codify Junkanoo in its law. So whilst it is received as a norm and a convention, the legal aspect of it makes it grounded into law. So we say this is who we are. I was speaking to Pastor Maramoxie the other day, and the preamble speaks.
Morning, Pastor.
The preamble speaks to the Bahamas being a Christian nation.
Yes.
And there's always been this back and forth where
Yes.
people say, "Oh, we're a Christian nation," and
Yeah.
the church has often been able to say, "No. If you look at the Constitution,
Yes.
it clearly states
Yes.
that
In the
in
preamble.
the preamble
I think,
we are a Christian nation."
Right.
And so sometimes, whilst things are conventions, norm, and expectations, the government of the Bahamas has a responsibility in the preservation of its culture to make sure that we codify it into law, so there's never any doubt. I don't think that's where the disagreement is. I think that's a general acceptance. I think the conversation really is going towards how existing structures coexist with new structures. I think that is the bulk of where the dialogue is. I don't think that no one would reasonably disagree with us creating a legal statute for this culture. So I think that's the nuts and bolts of what the government is seeking to achieve.
Perfect overview. Now, my sticking point,
Okay.
generally speaking, is that most of us do not realize, this is Arlene talking now,
Go ahead.
do not realize that there is a difference between Junkanoo and the Junkanoo parades.
Okay, yeah.
Junkanoo is what I talked about in the Proud to Be Bahamian moment. You in the road with your drum and cowbell, you supporting a friend, there are no rules, no competition, nobody saying, line up here, line up there, do this, do that. That's Junkanoo. In the back of your yard with your tub turning over, beating out that rhythm from timeless ages. The parades are something different. They are structured, they are organized, and they have rules, and they are a competition. And I find that when a lot of people say Junkanoo, they mean those parades. When somebody says that so-and-so or the Junkanoo groups don't own Junkanoo, no, they don't. Junkanoo belongs to the people of the Bahamas, but in my view, they own the parades that they create, and to a large extent, they pay for. And so I guess what I am leading to is, as I understand it, the bill talks about the JCNP in the past tense, and the Junkanoos who created their parades have been running their parades for the last 21 years. And there is a perception, I think, in the Junkanoo community that the government wants to take control of their parades away from them. How accurate is that?
So I think it's in the absence of information, it would be their conclusion. I don't think that in its earliest inception, it is the view of the government in the establishment of the commission to have the JCNP play a very integral role. I don't think that there is a vested interest thus far to absorb the management out of the parade in a way that relinquish the authority from the JCNP. I don't think that is the objective of this bill. I think that the government rightfully would understand what has been the perceived standard over a period of time, and it's been a very rightfully so a good partnership. So I don't. This bill does not seek to diminish, to compromise, to reduce the authority or impact of the JCNP, but it will lead to exactly what you are saying. I mean, one, how does the parade and the culture coexist? And that coexisting cannot be done in silos. So what the government is seeking to do is, how do we improve this product in a way that it does not have to be done in silos? And so for example, one of the things that you'd hear argue is that, well, you know, the Family Islands Junkanoo group does not have any representation. You know, JCNP speaks for the wider province group, and so what you are seeing happen is bringing all of these under the umbrella. So, in short, this is not the government of the Bahamas seeking to have any broad overreach on the JCNP. Second, I think the government of the Bahamas is understand all of the concerns that the JCNP and its members will have, and will handle that with a degree of understanding, care, and being deliberate with the overall objective.
Yeah.
And thirdly, this is to ensure that the culture and the parade does not exist in silos. I mean, and let me dispel on the onset, because I know this is the other elephant in the room. The conception of this bill is not being designed or done to facilitate any one Junkanoo group. This is not being done as a resolution between the world famous Valley Boys and the original Valley Boys. This is something that has existed prior to this dispute, and this is something that has been in the process prior to this dispute, and it's not in any way the arbitration, the conclusion of that dispute. I'm a Valley Boys.
Yes,
I'm very
you
torn.
are.
I'm very torn.
The minute I heard Rahming with an L, I knew that.
I'm very torn.
Morning Lambert, morning Lamont, my dear friends.
And I'm very torn by what exists, but this is not the government's way of resolving that.
Excellent.
So I just wanted to spell like that.
So yes, thank you so much. Because there is a perception that this was precipitated, that this was provoked at this time because of an internal rift in one Junkanoo group that really should not have spilled beyond that group into a national circle. There is definitely that perception. We cannot deny that.
That's why I describe it as the elephant in the room. The government of the Bahamas view, and we have not changed our view from the statement released during the Christmas period, that this matter should be resolved from a legal basis. Now, in my personal life, and I say this with a level of candor. As a Valley boy, I always thought that we could have reached to a common ground on this issue. I mean, if you are from the Valley, this is there's two things much more painful.
Nightmare. Yeah.
I feel like as long as the Valley boys have the challenge, it increases the odds of the Saxons getting clear to there. And I am now a ABS, anything but Saxons. I speak into the roots. I speak into Ellis.
So you were in that 1970s mindset.
I'm an ABS now. Anyone but Saxons. I saw Ellis the other day. I said, Ellis, man, the Valley boys don't fit this, please, man. The roots got to come on there. Come on there.
Notice he ain't called one family.
But certainly, I mean, so I think all of the concerns of the JCNP is legitimate.
Yeah.
And because of those concerns, the government is going to, starting on Monday, begin a process of really addressing the lion's share of those concerns.
So thank you so much for being so candid and so honest. We really appreciate it. Because it must be a difficult position to be in, depending on who you are around.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, definitely.
you really are being most gracious. Now, let me ask this question. Why, when this idea came up this time,
Yeah.
why wasn't the JCNP called in immediately? I don't have the details. I get the impression from talk here and talk there that they were sent the bill after it was drafted.
Yeah.
They were not called in around a table to say this would be blah, blah, blah. And so why were they brought in at the end of the process, which did not help matters at all?
So I will say this, and the information I have
Excuse
at
me.
this time, and I phrase at this time.
Yes, sir.
My understanding is that what exists today was a shelf ready conclusion that was been something widely discussed for the past 10 years. And that there has not been any modification to what has already existed, and that the plan had went through a number of fingerprints of very key persons within the Junkanoo community, and so I believe the view would have been that this was a product that would have been satisfactory to all of the groups. Now, usually when the government engage in stakeholder public consultation, there is a process. I think that what was happening then was trying to do a informal dialogue as, listen, the government intends to do this. We're going to bring it to Parliament. We don't want you. And when you bring it to Parliament, that's like the first act is I bring this bill for public consultation.
Yeah,
we don't want you to be.
reading.
We don't want you to be blindsided by
Right.
us bringing this to Parliament. So we want to share with you this, share this with you in advance. And I think that once that happened, I don't think that there's a public view of both sides, whether it's responding very hard to both parties. The JCNP issued a statement. And its message to its group.
Yeah.
Me and John is very cool. Who's in charge of the public relations for the JCNP?
Oh yeah, he's a valley boy too.
Yeah.
Morning, John.
but so that was done as a courtesy to the JCNP and its members before it's being brought to Parliament. The more formal process is the process that will begin on Monday, which essentially says to us that the Law Reform Commission, headed by Anita Allen. So let me just say, let me describe what Monday is. Monday is the public consultation.
Okay, hold on. Let's hold that thought.
Yeah.
Before we get into the details of what Monday is, we're going to run to our break.
Okay, go ahead.
When we get back, we will dive into those details as to what will roll out from this process pertaining to the bill. Okay. All right, folks, you're tuning in to Junkanoo242. Guess what? We got representation from the Office of the Prime Minister. We're talking about the proposed Junkanoo Authority bill.
Opportunity for phone calls.
Yes, we will have the lines open. I don't know if Latrae can run out of the office, but we can try and hold him in the corner. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run to this break. When we get back, we're gonna get you more informed about how this process is. Consultation process is going to roll out. We'll be right back.
In any
Yeah,
direction.
Junkanoo and bush medicine? What could they possibly have in common?
Tell me.
The answer lies in our past, when proud Africans in the Bahamas determined that they would survive the horrors of slavery to heal their bodies. Their brilliant adaptation of natural Bahamian plants to purposes of healing, to heal their souls. The recreation of our festivals from their homeland. The festival that we know as Junkanoo. Junkanoo and bush medicine. Survival techniques for our proud people.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Junkanoo242. The whistle blow. We are lined up and now it's time for our first lap. And this morning we are so honored to have Latrae Rahming here with us as our very special guest. He right in the E-Shack hanging out with us. He ain't ducking not a question we asked so far. Oh boy, we having a time. And of course, we want to hear a little bit more about what he had started to say before the break, and after that, have no fear, you will have the opportunity to call in. So DF, feel free to lead this part of the discussion. I gotta remember what he's talking about.
We're talking about the consultation process.
Okay,
how the government now is going to roll out this process. You're starting to, before we went to the break, you're starting to give us the insight on the details on what that process looks like. Where do we go from here to get this draft bill is out? Where do we go from here?
Let me. I just want to be before I start about discuss the consultative process. I want the listening audience to be informed that I've heard rumblings about persons talking about the misrepresentation of the intent of this bill. There are the government of Bahamas is very clear on who speaks on its behalf.
Okay.
All right. I have the authority to speak on behalf of the government of the Bahamas. Ministers of the government have the authority to speak on behalf of the government of Bahamas. Senior directors have the authority to speak on the government of the Bahamas. And the press secretary have the authority to speak on the government of the Bahamas.
Okay.
If you do not hear information about the intent of this bill from any of those four categories of persons that I've just said, any other information, please do not take it into your
disregard.
Disregard it.
Gotcha.
All right, disregard it.
Gotcha.
All right, now let's go ahead. Yeah. I mean,
so tell us, where do we go from here now in this process?
So on Monday, the government of Bahamas will start its first round of public consultations. That will be led by a number of stakeholders. One, the Law Reform Commission. That would be the group that would have designed the bill. That is going to be done by Dame Anita Allen. Then there's going to be representation from University of Bahamas and the AMMC, which is going to be Professor Chris Curry. We also have the Bahamas Christian Council representative will be Pastor Mara Moxie. You have the National Junkanoo Committee stakeholders. You have UNESCO, we'll have a stakeholder there. You'll have the Ministry of Education because of it being a part of the curriculum. And then you'll have the Ministry of Foreign Affairs because we're also speaking about the intellectual property of Junkanoo. And so on Monday, for the first time formally, they will take the A Division, the JNCP executive members, the B Division and the D Division through the actual proposed bill.
Because I was just going to say, you call everybody except the people who create the two biggest parades in the country.
So that meeting would be, they will walk through the bill for the first time, which will give the community itself the opportunity to say, I don't like that section, I don't like this section, can we change that section, can you explain this section, can you modify that section? And then the law reform commission will take those changes those changes back to the legal drafting, and then they'll come back with a version that is satisfactory. And so this will be the time where the community will have the opportunity to really pick apart, understand the intent and objective and the reasons of the bill.
So it just seems to me as if the key players were brought in on the tail end.
So
they're being presented with something that has already been drafted and told to pick it apart, as opposed to being in on the ground floor and saying from the beginning what they thought should be in it. I don't understand.
Apparently there was a conclave that happened in 2018 when there was the then minister at the time. I don't know what was the conclusion, but my understanding that this was
It's
the
based on what came
byproduct
out
of
of
that,
that.
right?
I
And
see.
that
Who
so
was the minister in 2018?
that minister at the time would have been the now leader of the opposition, Michael Pinta, and so this was. I say that's why I go back to the original point that this was something that was dust off, and the view that this was the only thing that the legal reform committee was doing is implementing a version of a conclusion that was a byproduct of a process that started before this administration.
Gotcha.
And that was include the fingerprints of persons who were part of the community. I don't
Clearly,
know.
something fall down in the process,
Yeah.
because the JCNP is, as I understand their letter, saying they have a challenge with it. Period.
Yeah.
With the whole bill.
Yeah, I mean that in itself is is a fair assessment based on what their concerns are. If their concerns, if they view the bill as a replacement of the JCNP or a bill that challenged the authority and independence of the JCNP,
Yeah.
their starting point would be no.
Of
But
course.
like I said earlier, this bill is not intended to do any of those things. I think.
So why were they referred to in the past tense?
I have not examined in its entirety, but
Okay.
this is why I said the process on Monday is so
Yeah,
important.
just was going to say, they'll have an
They have
opportunity.
opportunity
Okay.
to put. I did public consultations on medicinal marijuana. I've done public consultation on biometric, which was recently on, and we met with the COI, we met with the leader of the opposition, we met all these bodies, and we sat down where there was need for modification. The government made modification, and then and for the most part, so consultation. This hasn't even gone to first reading. Meaning, this only this has been tabled in Parliament.
Yeah.
For consultation.
Right.
First reading would means that this has been
The bill is
moved.
presented,
The bill is being presented to Parliament for the first reading.
Right.
Which would go to the second reading again, which is debate.
Which is the debate.
Now we're not there. I mean, so we are now. We are to the point where we are at tabled in Parliament for consultation. And when I spoke to Dame Anita Allen yesterday, she herself is still waiting for feedback on how there could be modifications or changes. So I do think that what will be if there were missteps along the process, I don't think that the government will have any exception in managing those missteps. I do think that Monday and this week presents a opportunity for us to lock away, go through the bill, make improvement, get an understanding of what is the government trying to achieve. Is the government trying to achieve something that is against my interests? And if it is, I have a challenge with that. If it's not, then I understand. And so what it will be useful is if this could be approached with clear eyes, in the initial sense.
Yes.
And then they have opportunity to interrogate them.
You go from there.
But I think I've heard the informal conversations.
Yes. Okay.
And I understand, and now I understand the reaction from the
you
community.
have a clear understanding,
so
of the real challenges that they see.
Yes,
right.
and I think that Monday will present an opportunity. This is not fait accompli.
Yes.
So
yes.
as an opportunity to, but I know Dion is a leader of a community.
Yes.
He got to do it he has to do
Yeah.
and protect the interests of his
His absolutely his responsibility is to carry out the mandate
Yeah.
of the association,
Yeah.
and he can't make DF help us here because you sit around the table. Does he make any decisions on his own?
No, ma'am. No,
He
ma'am.
has been unfairly targeted, I believe. There has been some really nefarious lies circulating and attacks on him, which I think are truly wrong and unfounded. And so hopefully as we move forward, we will be able to clear all of this up. You know, if you have, we are in a democracy, and if you have an objection with a policy or a proposal that the government of the day is proposing, that's not political.
No.
That doesn't mean that you have a problem with the political body. It means you have a problem with whatever the issue is, and sometimes we seem not to be able to separate the two.
So I think there are three contentious topics that we could agree to in the Bahamas.
Let me hear this. You
Politics,
find a whole three?
Junkanoo,
I really
Oh, you got contentious. Yeah.
Around the
Say them
Christmas
again.
table
Say
and
it a little louder.
Politics,
Yeah.
Junkanoo,
and religion.
Once
Yeah.
you
We ain't gonna agree on that.
now, what I think you've said something that has been. I remember at the time I've been in politics from when I was 15.
Wow.
I remember a time in politics I could disagree with someone and it was just a disagreement.
Yeah.
I still thought that this person was
Yes.
I like
That's
Latrae.
my point.
He's a decent
Yes.
person.
Yes.
I just don't agree with the
We
politics.
just disagree on those two things.
But
Yes.
now we have become. It's not sufficient for me to disagree with you.
Yeah.
I have to destroy your
Your
character. I
character.
have to
Run you into the ground.
And I tell you, this is the first time I've actually been dealing with the issue of Junkanoo. It was from my role as director of communications. And so I think that Dion's a decent guy. I think he's passionate in what he does. I think that he is a leader of an organization. He has a responsibility to them. He has to safeguard and protect the institution of GCNP that he has inherited over the last years.
Yes.
And so I understand. I don't get into police politics. I don't get into Junkanoo politics. That's too much.
That's it for you.
I don't
They ain't paying you to do that.
I learned.
Oh, you smart. Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Stay with
I
it.
don't-
Okay.
No. But I do have the responsibility of educating the public on
Yes.
the intent
That's your
of the
job.
government of the
That's
Bahamas.
right.
I
That's
do that. I mean, and I do it respectfully. And so what I'm saying
Yes,
to
you
the
do.
groups is that that you have an opportunity on Monday. There will be no politicians in the room. So this will be technocrats. This will be who job it is to really walk the community through the bills, and it's not a one-way conversation.
Yeah.
It's going to be a dialogue, and for both sides.
Yeah.
Mr. Rahming, the issue with a lot of people, I wouldn't say a lot of people who are active participants in this thing we love and call Junkanoo, is that a lot of times you can get a lot of input from some people who are just fans.
You understand?
You understand me? They don't wire up cardboard. They don't put on costume. They don't beat drums or shake cowbells.
Still now.
They don't. So when we out there for 12 hours, parading as a celebration for ourselves, when they had enough, they go home. All right, for them, by January 10th, the news holiday, they didn't forget about it. The only time some of them remember Junkanoo is because we talk about it on Saturdays, and they don't tune in until about November.
And
That's
your point is a critical one, because I just told somebody the other day I am not above throwing loonies.
Mm.
And I just told somebody the other day when they complained, I made the point that the JCNP has been running the parades for the past 21 years with no issues, no major issues. And his response was, except we gotta sit and wait for the next group to come. And I said to him, I have been working on my costume from March, at least 9 months out of the year, and you can't wait a half. You ain't talking to me. No, dear, you ain't talking to me.
The point you're
But
saying.
I just want to make the point that the perceptions are different.
No, so I think there's two things that I think that we ought to take into consideration too.
Mm-hmm.
One, my understanding that there have been persons who have the sweat equity of a Junkanoo person who was a part of the process, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now, and these would be described as some persons who have reached the meritorious or Junkanoo, right? They're part of the process and stuff. And sometimes we call it the tipping point where you try to get various stakeholders who would represent a larger view. You can't have everyone in the room, but you hope that these persons can represent a larger view. Sometimes even that, those communities may necessarily disagree that this person does not reflect our wider view.
No, hear me out here.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the people who we have at the table
Yeah.
do not have certain merits.
Yeah.
You talk about foreign affairs, you talk about education, you talk about all of these things.
I think it was it may
Right.
be fast, Eddie. The reason why and somebody.
But what I'm getting to this point is now is that, see, and I want to be frank with this,
Go ahead,
but I don't want to be rude.
No, don't be.
We talk about Junkanoo being in the curriculum. Let's call a fact a fact.
Mm-hmm.
The people that needed to be consulted on it wasn't consulted.
In that process.
In that process.
Yeah, okay.
And it isn't in the curriculum how it needs to be rolled out.
Okay.
Period.
All right.
Let's not even sugarcoat that. Putting something that acts as a quote unquote, oh, let me show you how to count using crepe paper, and let me show you how to use these different things using a don't do that to me. Mm-hmm. Don't insult me. Mm-hmm. Okay? And then we can say this in the curriculum. Listen, we got years of history, we got years of subject matters, we got experts who have curriculums already lined up, books that ready to roll this out. Mm-hmm. But yet nobody consulting the people who have it. So always what I'm concerned about is the same thing happening with quote unquote with this bill, saying, oh yeah, we're trying to protect this and we're trying to do this, but you're not including the people who actually can tell you, this ain't Junkanoo, bro. This, you're glossing over it. You could bring the person who has the merit of creating this, but match it with the people who actually can tell you this the real deal here, bro. Don't try and tell me this pacing and this paper ain't French. And that's where I feel as though, that's how I feel. There's a fail.
No, I listen. From me sitting here, I could see the passion dropping off of you, right? I'm not familiar with the process that led to the curriculum. But even on Monday, the assistant director will be there. And I think that you have a responsibility to say to her as well, even when it comes to the curriculum. Now, one of the things I will say is that all of this is a building process. Nothing, the curriculum is not going to be final. And we could start by saying, listen, respectfully, Mr. Baker, whatever y'all did can only be a start.
Yeah.
But it cannot be, it'll be a start of the process, but it cannot be the final version of what I know it could be. And so I but that's where the conversation, when I came to my role, I made it, we spent a lot of resources on public consultation and getting public consultation correct and respecting the views of persons in that process. And I often, and even now, I could tell you with every degree of assurance that I start where I began. The book of Junkanoo is one thing, right? There's three things that politicians understand. Junkanoo, religion.
and
Talking to religion.
Uh-huh.
And so
'Cause
I,
they in
I,
politics.
I can assure you that the JCNB do not have any fans.
Will be hurt.
Yeah, so
All
I
right,
can tell you.
we're gonna run to a
Yeah.
break. When we get back, we're gonna finish this conversation, invite some phone calls in, and get some people input on it.
Yeah.
Folks, we're running to a break. You tune in to Junkanoo242. We'll be right back.
Four, three, two, one, go.
Examples of excellence. Although he lived in Fox Hill from the age of 4, Maurice Tynes got his Junkanoo start with the Saxons. In 1986, Maurice teamed up with others to form the Fox Hill Congos, and thus began the glory days of Junkanoo in that historic community. In 1988, with Leonard Laddie Bain chosen as the leader, Maurice assumed the position of group manager and hearkened back to his roots to rally the Fox Hill community around the group. These were exciting days in Fox Hill with their own Junkanoo group, the Fox Hill Congos, and at the center of it, one of its pillars, Maurice Tynes, known for his high standards and team spirit, which led to phenomenal growth in a few short years. A strongly principled Christian, Maurice Tynes, the distinguished former chief clerk of the House of Assembly and the stalwart of the Fox Hill Festival Committee, continues to have a tremendous impact on his community. Maurice Tynes, this week's inductee into the Junkanoo242 Shack of Excellence.
Welcome back. You're listening to Junkanoo242. It's the second lap. This morning we're looking at the proposed Junkanoo Authority Bill, and we're pleased to have the Director of Communications from the Office of the Prime Minister in the person of Mr. Latrae Rahming. And he's in the shack, folks. He even show us one little video of him shaking some cowbells.
Are you ready, man?
You understand? He said he can be ready for December.
We got him. We got him.
You know? So, and regardless of what you're saying, you know, Latrae is giving us the information on what's happening now with this draft bill, specifically in the consultative process as they're planning on rolling out. As we list, my question is now is that you said the first meeting would be with these cadre of people, and that would be with quote unquote the executives of the JCMP.
That'll be with, there's 2 points I want to make before I get to your point. Let me answer your question. I'm making a follow-up point. So that meeting would be with the JCNP executives, the leaderships of the A division, B division, and the D division. And I told them, because when the team came back, they was like, we're gonna have the A, B. I asked them about the front groups. I mean, you gotta make sure that everyone is a part of it in the D groups and the family islands, and so that would be the community in itself. But I want to just speak to the character of the person who I work for, and that's the Prime Minister, right? Because I've seen some commentary about his perceived involvement, right? All right. So I know when the Prime Minister was Deputy Prime Minister, he was Minister of Works with responsibility of Bahamas and at the time it was Bahamas BEC. He had his brother went through. He had a brother that went through a tendered process for some work at BEC. The Prime Minister, once he found out that his brother was successful in a process, he immediately canceled that contract. And I say that process to say that there is a view that by some persons that the Prime Minister is influenced by the fact that he has a brother who is a leader of a group.
It's a perception.
It's a perception. The Prime Minister is not influenced by his involvement of his brother. He is the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Bahamas. He may be sympathetic to what is going on in the group, but that sympathy does not translate into government policy. And I use the example of when he was Deputy Prime Minister, with a similar situation where the sympathy then and his brother went through a merit-based process. And so I just wanted to assure the public that the Prime Minister is, whilst there may we in politics, we all get families. In the police force, you get family. You all get a cousin who always ain't pay his bill at the courthouse and he needs money. But we got a job to do, and I want to make very clear that the Prime Minister is very fair in this process. I think there's been some comment. He have not really responded to the comments, but he understands the perception. But I think whilst I do have the opportunity and I do have the platform, I want to assure the community that the perception that is out there, the Prime Minister, the government policy is not being dictated by
and that it's only coincidence that this is coming up now. Because the perception is that because there are differences with the JCNP and what division you rush in, that is what precipitated all of this.
No, I mean, I think I outlined a four-stage process, a four-stage process of things that has to happen before we got to this point. And to be quite candid, even the consultative process, is a process within itself. It's going to be transparent. It's going to be done in the full view of the public. The JCNP and its members of the community will have an opportunity to give input to a process that will protect the interests of them and all stakeholders. And so no matter what, I believe at the conclusion, whilst there's these perceptions now, by the time we will be done, it will
All be
only
ironed up.
it'll only be perceptions.
Yeah.
And I do think that in most partnerships in marriage, there will be challenges, and I do believe that the government of Bahamas and the JCNP could sit to a table and come to a conclusion that work things out. That's my view. We did it before with the last Junkanoo.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that I don't think this time will be any different.
Amen. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if you would wish to speak to Mr. Rahming, please call us in New Providence 325-5403, 325-5404, 325-5405, and in our family of islands 1-242-300-8255. And as we
Who man in the lines?
Run on the line.
Don't be just run. We pull for run out. Big
Valley boy.
Let the Valley boys come.
In fact, I believe it's Ronald who come up with dun, dun, dun. Yeah. Right now, that was him.
Who have the best? Like I like I ain't a Saxons, but their song, their chant is.
What is it?
What is the chant is?
I don't remember. That who are we really hit a chord with everybody. My only challenge with that.
Mash them up.
Okay. My only challenge with the who are we, the Valley. The Valley boys use standard English, who are we, because it rhymes with Valley. When these other groups go copying, that drives me crazy. We don't run around here saying, who are we? We say who we is. Why are you copying something that they designed for them? Oh boy, anyhow. So yes, but let me tell you, this is another asterisk at the bottom of the page on in my book. And again, I haven't gone into the bill in detail, but whether we have a bill or not, this has been a concern of mine for a while. I do not believe that family islands should be encouraged to imitate Nassau Junkanoo. That's my personal feeling. There are certain aspects of Junkanoo that would be archipelagic in nature. They can spread through the music, for example. But even with the music, there are islands that might introduce other indigenous instruments that Nassau doesn't. But when you are imposing on these islands cardboard and gray paper and a certain style, for me, how we interpret Junkanoo in Nassau does not necessarily have to be how another island interprets it. So that's my concern about this umbrella body.
So I mean, that's exactly why I think the umbrella as a body is necessary, in a sense that you have to handle those exact same concerns.
Yes.
Because now
it mightn't be a concern for anybody except me.
But that's just the beauty of democracy. Because I think what I am hearing in this process of nation building, it is a continuous process of.
I see.
In the architecture of nation building, it is a continuous process, right?
Yes.
Everything starts from a version or a form. The commission in itself will have to address the mirroring of this culture in family islands, whether it is unique.
Want it or not?
Yeah, it is unique, but I think that is the beauty of a process, and no process goes without contention. And so I don't think that what you're saying ought to be dismissed. I think that we need to, the fact of the matter is, to JCNSP's credit and the government of Bahamas' credit over the past 18 years, 20 years, you've formalized a version of black and white for that as component of Junkanoo. We've gone to a black and white in curriculum, and you said, listen, man, this black and white needs some more black inside of it. Right? So what I'm saying is, we, rather than going from convention and norms, because the convention and norm changes based on interpretation. I could say, I like it to be this way, but if we don't get to a fine, if you don't get, one of the things I've done as director of communication now is that I realized that coming to the office, the government of the Bahamas did not have a crisis communications plan for a number of things. Okay, and what that means is, in the absence of a plan, everyone makes it up as they go.
Yeah.
And I say, no, man, you can't. Between FDX,
you need to
always
right to the top
have
of
a block. You have a block.
How you deal with it?
Yes.
So a body have to have the responsibility with its partners to say, guys, we are noticing the evolution of Junkanoo and the Family Islands. Is it right for us to impose on them in a financial manner? Because there's a cost to it.
Yes.
Do we want the tourists who are in those family islands to perceive the larger culture of that? I mean, because you get that, there got to be culture consistency. So you can. No one should have the ability, unless the community. I say that I thought it was fascinating. You talk about the introduction of the brass.
Yeah.
By the music makers, right?
Yeah.
So, but when you have a cultural product,
yes,
and you have to protect that, you have to also protect the
Very
evolution of that.
Very
so
much
you have
so.
to make sure that those islands are in line with the evolution of where you want the product to be.
So you decide what aspects are non-negotiable,
Negotiable,
and then you go from there. I always remember Dr. Nicolette Bethel saying that Junkanoo in Nassau is an urban festival, she said, and that always stuck with me, because where will certain islands find cardboard? You know, we have it because we are what she calls an urban
center. Everything here
and so, yeah, that's a whole show.
No, but it's a good point. But I'm just saying that's why I believe that's where we'll find some merits in the commission, and where we find those merits and where we find those challenges, I think we have to iron them out, the authority.
Let's run to the phone lines. Good morning, hello.
Good morning, Junkanoo.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you on this morning?
Very well.
Well, thanks.
Mr. Rahming,
Hey,
I gather you know who you're speaking with now.
I said the sound familiar.
Yes, this is Julian Ferguson.
Hey, Juju. Juju, who you? Juju. Yo, Juju, who you spell for, Juju?
Me?
Yeah.
Boy, y'all had a fabulous cookout. That food was delicious.
The people that came out and supported us on the holiday park.
It was
What I wanted to
delicious.
say, Darren was on to something that always bothered me. And Ms. Nash, you said it one or two times. There, you want to put Junkanoo into the schools. Now, a math teacher had to go to the university, to get some type of degree to become a math teacher. Now, most PE teachers are usually athletes.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if we're going to teach Junkanoo in the school, those people that are going to teach the Junkanoo, they must know something about Junkanoo.
Absolutely.
They either have to be a Junkanoo or some Junkanoos come in and teach them something about Junkanoo in order for them to be able to teach the art of Junkanoo to the student. Now, my thing is, and another thing too, every school should now have a Junkanoo shop.
Yes, I totally
Yes,
agree
like
with
how
that.
all schools have math classes and
Jim.
We said this couple of weeks ago,
Yes.
didn't we?
we need to have every school, and not good schools are taking part. Every school take part in basketball.
That's
every
right.
school take part in softball. Every school
Yes.
take part in track and field. So every school has to take part in Junkanoo.
Absolutely.
Now, you know I throw my little rock and then I go.
Hey.
Right, then you
So
break
I
off
throw a
running.
little rock this one, another big rock at Mr. Rahming. But Mr. Rahming, I need 10 people from every constituency in the Bahamas. We have 39. So that'd be 390 And the PLP will have the greatest scrap group.
School out.
At 390, I don't think y'all could qualify as scrap no more, but
And let's go and have some fun. We can do it Boxing Day on New Year's.
Good to go.
They ain't got to do it. We do it Boxing Day or we do it New Year's.
Who will be a leader of the group?
all right.
Thank you for calling. We appreciate that.
Folks, we're running into our break. When we get back, we'll be on our last segment of the show. You can get your calls in 325-5403, 325-5404, 325-5405, and from our family of violence, 1242-300-8255. We'll be right back after this break. And now for news off the shack wall. Happy birthday greetings goes out to Dr. Robert Gibson, who celebrates today, man, Doc, where the party is. We only showing up for the cake, bro. That's why we come in for the cake. Also, we want to say happy birthday goes out to Carlton Ty Johnson, 2 cake alley. We on the road for 2 cake today. All right, y'all. Yeah, y'all got that at 8. That's when sun getting now. We don't come out like on the road after 8 looking for cake.
We got them.
But to everybody else who's celebrating a birthday tomorrow, Bullard, Hugo George, Holland Grant, Kathy McCartney, Bernard, Cooper Sherman, Albert Archer, Jack Ford, hey Jack, Judith Burrows, and to all others. Also, I think it's Jermaine Hockey Turnquest.
Nice.
I think his son is celebrating, Junior is celebrating his birthday also. We want to say happy birthday to you also. We invite you to contribute to the medical fund in aid of Preston Lord Frog Evans of the Music Makers. Donations can be made at Scotiabank Soldier Road in the East Street, account number 13191, and the name of Sharif Evans. Also, J. Sargent.
Morning, Sarge.
Oh, we still out there supporting Sarge.
Oh, yeah.
You can go to the GoFundMe page, search for J. Sarge, and his name will come up. Also, you can go to the JC. You can also go to Junkanoo242 GoFundMe, and you can click the link, and it will take you directly there. Mm-hmm. It is Saturday, August 9th, 2025. We are 19 weeks away from Bay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are in the final segment of Junkanoo242, and we have been having a very spirited conversation this morning with Mr. Latrae Rahming from the Office of the Prime Minister, and we have certainly been enlightened on a number of things. And so as we begin to wind down, if you want to get in, squeeze in. Oh, we already have a call on the line. Let's go straight to the phone lines. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, how you all doing, man?
Fine, thank you, sir. Morning.
Everything all right?
Yes, sir.
Everything is well.
Mr. Rahming?
Hey, what's up?
Everything good, man. I got one or two things I need to say.
Go ahead, man.
I understand one of my fears is your daddy.
Yeah, the South House.
Only easy on you.
Yeah, man. At least I'm in peace.
Alright, so my first issue is I understand in the beginning I said that your position is crisis management in the government.
Yes.
So I must say, and this is not a personal attack on you.
Go ahead.
It's an attack on the institution, right? The crisis response has been poor because the government is seemingly trying to have the public ignore the obvious conflict of interest. And this conflict of interest has only been made public since one faction of the Valley Boys has made it public. And I will also add, in the JCMP's response or correspondence with yourself and the direct minister, right? They cited meetings and voice notes, etc., from executives and their dealings with the government of the Bahamas, which is why the JCMP took the stance that it did. So it is, I don't think it's arbitrary at all to say that this bill is indeed punitive. And for those who may not know what punitive is, this bill is punishment to the JCMP for not going along the lines that the government wished them to deal with. And the reason I say that is, if you read the proposed bill, there are 15 individuals appointed to the authority. And all 15 of those individuals are appointed by the minister. And to add insult to injury, 7 of those individuals are civil servants that have no understanding of Junkanoo. So I take grave insult, and I think I speak for a good bit of Junkanoo, maybe not the majority, but I take grave insult in that the government is specific individuals who do not have an appreciation for Junkanoo, who do not have a firm understanding of Junkanoo, trying to tell Junkanoo this is what you need to do, and this is what you will do, because Junkanoo belongs to the people. And I love the people, we love them dearly, but we are entertainment for the people. And when we spend up to $5,000, up to $7,000, like it was said earlier in the show, the people go home. And we got to figure out what to do with this money spent. So there's an issue now because the government, just like the minister went on TV the other day, the minister, in a condescending tone, basically said that we moving forward, we have no regard for the JCMP. If they don't want to be a part, their business. That's the problem. And that is evidence of political interference.
So I mean, all of the concerns laid out.
The Attorney General.
I don't know the caller. If you say your name for me, please, because I want to.
Ferguson.
Ferguson. Okay, thank you, Ferguson. I will address you respectfully.
Yeah, man.
On the onset of the show, I've made it very clear that there are only 4 persons who speak on behalf for described individuals to speak on behalf of the government of the Bahamas. That is myself as Director of Communications, the Press Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, senior government officials, and the Cabinet of the Bahamas.
Well, that's everybody who involved in the Valley Boy job.
No, to be fair, you know, every group get there. I mean, that's just Junkanoo is also reflective of our community. But I want to make it absolutely clear and to dispel any myths that I've laid out the process on how we got to this place. This commission is not a new idea. It is not the solution to a dispute between the world famous and the original Valley Boys, all the way from.
So why all of a sudden the commission is so important?
Well, no, this was
this. Reach through the roof. You all don't know the difference between a deficit and a surplus, but don't know what the
but listen, man, you
gotta let him respond. You gotta let him respond. You gotta let him respond. Yeah, you gotta let him respond.
Listen, you get into other politics like that.
Yeah.
I come here to discuss the fiscal matters of the. When you made your concerns to me, I say that your concerns is valid, and I absorb them in the most respectful manner. I at the onset of the show, I didn't wait for a caller to tell me about the perceived perceptions. I volunteered the perceptions from the start. I acknowledge that there is an elephant in the room between the perception of the we know. I didn't wait for someone to call me to tell me that.
Yes.
The government, we go into Monday's process very clear eyes on what the concerns of the communities are, right? And if there are previous statements by government officials, we understand it is very clear that the temperature is high, right? But I'm also saying, if you are saying, listen, the bill that is being proposed now does not reflect sufficient amount of my members, it has too much technocrats involved, it doesn't reflect more members from my group, then the JCNP in this or anyone in this process, whether it's the JCNP, whether it's the average guy in the street, whether it's the sponsors, whether it's stakeholders, whether it's NGO, they have a responsibility on Monday to say, rather than 12, I want to see 15, or I want to see that 12 reflect me. And so you have that opportunity, right? And I am being very candid and saying that all stakeholders want to see Junkanoo happen on New Year's and Boxing Day.
Yes.
And so the JCNP then put his cards on the table on what it is.
And they are
and so I believe that we have to, yes, accept that temperatures are high. Yes, accept that things were said by persons who do not speak for and be on behalf of the government of the Prime Minister. Yes, the minister had said some things that I think in hindsight he wished that he would have had a much more calmer demeanor in saying so. But it does not take away from the opportunity of our ability to look at this and have a product that we all can accept. Now, the Bahamas ain't that big. I know I didn't hear the Junkanoo community, I didn't hear the politics, I didn't know what the elephant in the room is. I'm saying is, let's have this exact same conversation at the first reading of the bill. If the views of the community is not reflected, then the points, the perceptions and points or whatever, it's just only further strengthened. I'm saying that this is a unique opportunity.
Don't say it on TV, say it to your face.
Yeah, I'm saying
That's a good way of putting it.
Monday is the big day.
Slow down,
Okay.
You know?
All right, thanks,
Man,
caller.
we appreciate you.
Thanks for calling. Thanks for your input.
so much.
We're going to go on
Yeah.
fiscal matters,
But it just goes to show how the community prides itself for this treasure we call Junkanoo.
Absolutely.
And also, I think they respected the fact that the public, when I say the public, the members and the leaders of the Junkanoo groups, who in large part make up this parade, have come together, created an organization. By doing that, they manage what is the rules, what is the parameters to qualify to be in the various different divisions, the categories. So guess what? Since they're the parade, they managing, they organizing the parade for themselves, by themselves. And so now when people say, what do you mean you're taking it away
And
from
to
the
a
people?
great extent, they are paying for their parade.
Yeah.
We all going deep in our pockets.
You know?
Yeah, I think, Arlene, you did a very, you described it so well when you said the cycles of this thing called Junkanoo. Well, even though people say it's only two parades, there's a lifeline that is between those two parades.
Oh boy.
Yes.
But then there's the other things that the citizenry participate in that is not a reflection of that parade.
Right.
And I think it's in that vein where I think once there is the conversation between the parade management and the coexistence of the culture from an academic perspective, how those two mushroom together is where we're gonna see the full byproduct of it. Like I said to you before, I'm not afraid of a candid.
You really
discussion.
are.
And,
we appreciate it so much.
The call us made to say that whether or not we thought the government got the communications on this wrong. When I became director of communications, I made it a staple of my time being there to have public consultations.
Yes.
Public consultations are planned out of my office. I made it a priority to make sure that those consultations are not only going to be closed door, but they're going to be also live. I told them that I want this conversation to be viewed in the eyes of the public, so the public could see and they could hear and they could be a part of the conversation. Because sometimes, and then too, sometimes, and we're going to make sure that persons, the room only can hold 80 persons, but we're going to make sure that people online could put questions to it, because I understand how important this process is, and I think that through dialogue and conversations, we can get it right, and I do believe that all parties understand the politics of Junkanoo, and we understand being politics.
There you go.
And so I think we'll end up with a very
well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you this morning. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
We will reserve the right to have you back to keep us posted.
Before I go, I know Mom can hate me for saying that, right? I can't go a Junkanoo without making a bet. Right?
Oh,
and my bet is, if the Saxons is successful,
watch 1980s
and winning the next
going
parade.
Back to the 80s.
Let me just talk. I should make it back.
Go ahead.
All I said is you're a camera. Mommy can put the smile.
So if the Saxons win the next parade, I will count every lamp hole from Newell on the call out of Michael Road. So I am asking every Junkanoo group to do their best.
I can even ready batteries that will come down. If that happens.
Make sure that don't happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a wonderful morning, and we thank Latrae for coming in this morning and being so open in his discussion with us. We hope that you enjoyed it as much as we have done, and we reserve the right to have him back. And so until next Saturday, God willing, remember, this is Junkanoo242, all about you wherever you are in the 242. And until next week, make sure now that we all let everything we do prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that we are all proud to be Bahamian. We'll see you next week.